Hi, Jenny here. Today I thought I would make a video answering some ostomy questions. So I do have a page of notes here that I will go off of, so I won't forget anything. But I guess first and foremost, what is an ostomy? So an ostomy is a surgical incision that they make in your abdomen, and they pull some of the intestines out and fold them back over and make a stoma. So there are 3 different types of stomas, mainly. There are more, but there is a colostomy, an ileostomy, and a urostomy. A urostomy has to do with the ureter and the bladder, and they can do an ostomy that way. The ileostomy comes off of your small intestine. So the end part of the small intestine is called the ileum. So that's why it's called an ileostomy. That's usually on the right side of your body because that's where your small intestine connects to the large intestine. A colostomy is made from any part of the large intestine, usually made on the left side of the body. Although it can be either, as in I started off with a loop ileostomy on my right side, and I ended up needing to have it converted into a colostomy, but they were able to use the same hole. So they brought my large intestine over to that side, and I still have it on the right side. Disclaimer, I am no health professional or anything. I'm just going to give you my information on what I know. So I will basically be talking about ileostomies and colostomies. I don't really know about the urostomy. I know a little bit of information, but I haven't had one, and don't know of anybody that has one, so I don't know that information. And also, again, then if you have any main questions, if you're having any problems, please ask your surgeon about it, or even anything that I mention. Make sure that you talk to your doctor to make sure that any of this information could be right for you. But I just thought I'd get information out there, again, just for learning purposes, that if you're getting an ostomy, this will give you some information of what it might look like, what might happen, what are some answers. Or if you are a caretaker of someone, same thing, give you some information about all that. Or if you just want to learn about stuff, then this would be some good information. But in any case, like I said, I had a cancerous tumor in my rectum, and it was really into the intestinal wall, and the doctors thought that I might have a perforation happen during chemotherapy, or more so radiation, that would then create sepsis in the body, and they wanted to prevent that. So they gave me an ileostomy at that point in time. They were hoping that that was going to be reversible, so they would have been able to sew it back together, and I would have been having my normal digestive system and all that, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. My tumor was too close to my anus, and so they weren't able to save that area. So I also have a whole Barbie butt. They sewed me up, and the proctocolectomy, and they converted my ileostomy into the colostomy. So there are also the 2 types of ostomies of that way too, of being a loop ileostomy or an end ostomy. A loopostomy. A loopostomy is where, when you have the intestines and all that, they'll just cut halfway through, and they can bend it, and then they put both ends out of your abdominal wall, and so you'll have 2 areas. Usually output, which is your stool, they call it output, usually only comes out of one end, and that's what goes into then a bag that you attach to your body. And that way, again, they can sew that back together if they are able to heal your digestive system and make it all whole again. An end ostomy would be that they would cut it completely in half, and they would just have the one end sticking out, and you would only have the one hole and one end doing that way. That would normally be if they were going to end up cutting out a diseased area of your colon, or, well, yeah, even for me, they still cut out just a portion of it. I still have a part of my colon and all that, but it's an end colon, or you could have an end ileostomy, where again they would cut out the rest of it, and you wouldn't need it. You wouldn't need it. So those are those 2 different parts. What happens then is when you have this ostomy or stoma, it's a stoma that comes out of your body, It's a pink part of the intestine, so they pull the intestines out, they fold it over like a turtleneck, and then they sew that area onto your abdomen. And then what happens is, again, like I said, the stool comes out of that hole and you collect it into a bag. So for an ileostomy or a colostomy, this is kind of the type of a bag that they first would give you. This is a drainable. Like, there are many different types of bags that you can have. So that's a whole other video. I have different ones of that, like on this channel. You can look up that stuff. But in any case, this is a clear see-through bag. This is usually what they start you off with in the hospital because they want to make sure that they can see your stoma, make sure it's healthy, that everything is going okay with it, and then want to see your output and see what that looks like to make sure that that looks okay and is doing okay. Most bags do have a filter on them. I'll discuss that in a minute, but again, that's kind of what that would look like. So, yeah, should I say that I had the loop ileostomy, like I said, and then they were able to sew that up, and they gave me the colostomy. Why do people need an ostomy? There are different reasons. Like for me, it was cancer. And depending on where the cancer is in your intestines will depend on, like I said, what type of stoma they would give you. And then like whether it could be reversed or not. Sometimes they can cut out just a diseased portion of the colon, and they may even still give you an ostomy at that point in time as they sew this other area back together. They let this area heal, and once it's all healed, they're able to sew it back together and you're good to go. Sometimes people have different diseases. You could have Crohn's, you could have irritable bowel syndrome, car accidents. If that damaged the abdomen area a lot, you may need one. Genetic, you could have been born that way. So in that respect too, it was like, at what age, do people get stomas or ostomies? Up to any age. There are babies that are born with something wrong with their intestines and they get ostomies. We had, my husband had a friend whose son, we knew he was probably 6 at that time or something. We were out at another friend's house and we were playing and his son was there and he talked about how, yeah, his son had an ostomy bag. So again, being that young. Usually you think about old people when you hear about, again, the major thing was the colostomy bag, and so it's like, oh, that's an old people, thing, that something happens. Unfortunately, these days, cancer is happening to people younger and younger, so in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Like I said, I know a lot of people that have Crohn's, though, too, were diagnosed when they were, like 9, 10, 12, so they've been dealing with the disease for so long, and they may get an ostomy bag at 16 or 18 or in their 20s. So it can happen to someone of any age. And for most people, when they get it, it's a second chance at life. So it's okay. Some people think, oh my God, I never want that. I don't want to have, this bag of poo on the outside of my body or whatever, but you know what? It's like for me, I'm alive. I would rather take that. If those are my choices, I get a bag or I'm dead. I'm happy to have this and I'm having a good life. So that's another one of those we'll get into of, like what can you do? You can still have a normal life. Yeah, are they permanent? Like I said, sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you get the permanent end ostomy, sometimes they can reverse them. Sometimes it's up to you. You may get one and they can say that, oh, you know what, we could reverse this for you. And sometimes you don't want that. It's like, you know what, nope, life is good. I've got it figured out. I'll be okay with this. We'll stick with it this way. Sometimes it ends up that you think you're going to have it reversed, but yet you're still having, like I said, people with IBD or Crohn's or stuff like that. Sometimes they still have a lot of symptoms. They still have a lot of cramping going on or whatever. And it ends up that in the end, they just get that part of the intestines taken out and again, the body heals again more and you're good. So it can go either way. Does it hurt? I can actually read these with my light on. I don't need my glasses. Does the stoma hurt? No. The stoma itself doesn't hurt. There are no nerve endings on the end of it. It's very vascular. It can bleed easily. So sometimes if you do nick it, like when you're cleaning or something, I've done that. I've nicked it with my nail. I don't feel it. All of a sudden I'll just see some blood there. So the stoma itself doesn't hurt, but the skin around it, that area around, sometimes that can get irritated. It may get sensitive to some of the products that you're using. Sometimes around, this whole area is sticky. So this sticks to your skin. And sometimes around this area, it could have a reaction with the skin. Sometimes with an ileostomy, with your output being a lot more liquidy, it will get under the barrier area here. And so around the stoma area, if you have that stool output sitting on your skin, it has acid in there from the stomach acids breaking down the food, and it can also then break down your skin. And you might feel some pain and some redness there. And then there are different products you can use to help heal all that up. But for the stoma itself, it doesn't hurt. Does it change sizes? Sometimes. Right after surgery, usually the stomach is a little bit bloated, you're swollen a little bit, plus they've put gas all in there so that they can see what they're doing with their instruments. So if you're having it laparoscopically, which means they just put like four little incisions in you and do what they need to do. Sometimes, like for me in the end, I had open surgery, so they cut me from my sternum down to my pelvis and opened me up because they had to do a whole lot of stuff in there. So depending on that, they're gonna put, like I said, there'll be gas in the system, there'll be swelling in there from your body healing, and so the stoma may be a little bit bigger, and then within like a month or so, 2 weeks to 4 weeks, the body kind of settles back down and you get more to a normal size. So your stoma should remain the same size. Sometimes people have problems with what's called prolapsing, and some of your intestines kind of keep coming out a little bit further. Sometimes you can push those back in and it'll be okay. Sometimes you'll need corrective surgery. That usually doesn't happen. Sometimes the stoma can shrink a little bit more and get more even with your skin. Again, usually not. Again, surgeons I think are pretty good these days. Again, they've been doing so many of them that they do a good job. They know how to make them. But again, the body can change and things can happen. The other thing that does happen though, sometimes you can see it move. So I've had that where, I think more so with my ileostomy than the colostomy. With the intestines that are sticking out, sometimes you can see the intestines kind of move. They kind of get a little bit like bigger and smaller. So it's like that peristalsis that happens in the intestines to try to push the food through and all that. So sometimes you may see that. It's kind of odd, but kind of interesting too. It's like, whoa, look at that. It moves. So there's that. Does it smell? No, technically. Bags are made well enough these days that it's a good enough material that the smell does not come through the bag. So as you're sitting here and whatever, you can't smell it. You can be going and you can't smell it. Like I said, they do have the filter on here, so the filter helps. This helps with mitigating any smells that may come out, and more so especially if there's a lot of gas. So depending on the foods that you're eating, you could have a lot of gas, then the bag kind of fills up, it kind of will it'll puff up a little bit, so it gets a little poofy in there or whatever, that you may have some gas in there and stuff. And then again, sometimes a little bit will come out the filter. Every once in a great while, I could smell something. My husband has told me he's never smelled anything. My daughter's told me, she's never smelled anything. And again, it's only once in a great while. In the beginning, when I first got the ostomy bag, I think there was either a little bit more I could smell, or more so when you empty it. So obviously when you're emptying it, it's just like a regular, a regular person going the regular way. If you got it, the output, poop coming out your butt, or if you got it coming out your bag, it's gonna have a smell. And again, in the beginning, because everything is still healing, it smells a lot more. At first I was worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, and is this going to happen for the rest of my life now? It's going to smell that bad that it's like the whole house gets perfumed. But that went away. Again, after that, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, everything kind of settled down. Your body has to learn a new digestive way and stuff. And when once everything kind of gets kind of copacetic, it all learns. It's like everything's good, then it's just like normal. Other things that you can do for if you think it smells more so, or to try to help again lessen the smell, there are deodorizing drops that you can use. Again, sold by the Ostomy companies, sold on Amazon. There's the Poopery that, that's the name brand of stuff that was out there like many years ago. That's still out there. So again, you can spray that in the toilet and then empty your bag. You can spray that even in your bag. A couple squirts after you're done emptying and have that in there. Your deodorizing drops you put in the bag. There are little sachet type things like called diamonds is one of them. So again, also if you have an ileostomy, if it's a little bit more liquidy, you put that in the bag. That helps it smell and it helps kind of thicken up some of the more liquidy output. So that's another thing too, depending on if you have an ileostomy or a colostomy. The ileostomy, your output consistency is usually a little bit more waterier. And so you may have to empty the bag a little more often. And again, like I said, you can use the gel stuff to help thicken it up, or the hospital and that too will give you a list of foods. Between that, the dietitian or whatever, they'll let you know like different foods that can help thicken up your output, and if it is too thick, then they let you know some foods that you can make it a little bit more looser. So between like bananas and applesauce and potatoes and things like that, there are different foods that you can eat to help. Emptying the bags the same. Yeah, after surgery it was a little bit more. Deodorizing drops, excellent, got it all. Can you shower with a stoma? Yes. You can shower with your bag on, which I prefer to do just because. The bags are made again of a good plastic material that the water doesn't get in. Sometimes it can get in the filter and kind of make that inactive and whatever, so they also provide stickers in the bag, in the box with the bags and everything, so you can put a sticker over that area. Sometimes I do that anyways too, to help prevent pancaking, which is when if the output comes out and it all just kind of hangs here and it doesn't drop in. So sometimes when it is a little bit thicker, it'll sometimes just kind of get stuck up here a little bit. So when you go to empty it, or if you can open up the bottom of the bag and try to do that when I'm opening, and then try to get some more air up in there, and then that'll help it to fall down. But otherwise, the wetness and all that will be just fine. Like I said, the water doesn't permeate the bag, so you can shower with it on. The sticky part of the back sticks to your skin well enough that it doesn't fall off. So usually I wear my bag for about 5 days, so I do take at least one shower with the bag on. You can't take a shower with the bag off. Again, the stoma doesn't have nerve endings on there, so just make sure the water isn't too hot because you don't want to damage that skin. And just use regular soap and water. So you don't want to use too much of anything like perfumey, anything lotiony around the area, and don't scrub a lot because again, the stoma is vascular. If you're not paying attention, if you hit it or whatever, that it could bleed a little bit. It usually just bleeds a little bit. It's not a lot. If it's a lot, call your doctor. But yeah, some people like to do that. They like to have a little bit of freedom from the bag. They take it off and they're like, whoa. Part of that is, leading to my next question, like how often do you empty your bag? So one of the things is that you don't have any control over your stoma, that you can't control when you go to the bathroom or not. There is no sphincter muscle. So when there is digested food in the system ready to come out, it just comes out. And so you could be in the shower, and if you don't have the bag on and your stoma decides to go or whatever, you're just going to be pooing all over. So that is what it is. If you're okay with that, then that's what you can do. The other thing is you kind of learn your body, and you know how long it takes, like after you eat, to when some output might come out. Sometimes you have food sitting in there that could have been digested like from overnight or whatever, and you get up, you eat breakfast, whatever is already in your system, because your body's eating. It's kind of like, oh, I'm eating, we got to start moving. The intestines start moving and they push out whatever might be already in there. So as far as changing a bag, a lot of times you learn when your body is a little bit less active. So for me in the morning with a colostomy, I know my body, when I start moving, the body's like, okay, and it outputs, it's got stuff. So I have to wait about an hour or so after I'm awake before I know that there'll be no activity. And then usually I shower. I like to shower first, and then it helps warm up the bag and everything, make it a little bit easier to remove. And it shouldn't be active, and I can get a bag change done and not worry about it. Sometimes you can eat like a marshmallow. I'm told I eat a couple marshmallows, and that also will help slow down the output, and you'll have extra time to be able to do that. Otherwise, you just kind of know that while you're doing a bag change, sometimes it may just decide that it's time to go, and it'll go, and you'll be prepared for that. Usually you have some paper towel or some toilet paper handy and nearby and stuff, so that if it starts to go, you can kind of catch it and take care of that. Get it in the toilet, whatever, and then get your bag on. So usually with an ileostomy, again, also you have more output, and again, it's usually a little bit thinner. I would empty that every time I went to the bathroom. So it was usually a good 6 times per day or so. Every time I wouldn't have to. When the bag is all folded up and said and done. Let me see if I can. So when the bag is folded up, you have that much room. You can also tuck this in, so how long your bag is and stuff. So usually when it gets at least a half full, you want to empty it, because then you don't want it to get too full. You don't want to get it back up to that point. So with an ileostomy, like I said, I would be having, every time I'd go to the bathroom, I'd have it a quarter to a half full. And so it was just like, I would go, empty it out. And about every 4 hours. Maximum was kind of 4 hours. So for me with the ileostomy, I actually set an alarm on my phone, and I would get up in the middle of the night and I would go and empty it. And even if it wasn't completely full, I would get up and I would go empty it, because again, during that next 4 hours I'd be sleeping or whatever. I didn't want it to overfill or anything like that. And sometimes, besides even just having like liquidy or mushy output, you could also get gas filled in there. So I've also had it where that's filled up like a balloon. Kind of like, oh, all right, get in there and just empty the gas out. With the colostomy, it's a little bit thicker output. It's more like applesauce, oatmeal consistency, and I can go longer. So again, I might empty that 4 times a day, but I don't have to get up in the middle of the night anymore and empty that. So that's been a nice change. That I could go a little bit longer with that. Some people do an irrigation with a colostomy. You can't do that with an ileostomy, but with a colostomy, it's basically like giving yourself an enema every day. You have to be trained for how to do this at the hospital. They give you an IV almost type of a bag that you fill with water that goes down with the tubing. You have an end of the tube that you can stick into the colostomy and fill up. As the water drips through, it kind of fills up your whole colon area. And then you take that out, and then it empties everything out. I believe that whole process takes like an hour or so. Again, I've looked into it. I didn't feel like there was anything that I wanted to do. But a lot of people do that. You do it at the same time every day. So then you just basically go once a day. And then you're finished. And then instead of wearing a big bag like that, they have kind of like these little small, like almost Band-Aid type covers. And then you can just put that over your stoma, and it's flat. Like I said, it's almost like a Band-Aid. You just put that over it. It's a little covering, and go about your day. So other than that, yeah, that's the only way that you can like control output and get your body, again, used to that. It's going to take some time for it to get into that routine. So we talked about output consistency. Can you sleep on your stomach? No, basically. So again, if you know your body, if you know how much output you have, how when your body is working, you could maybe chance sleeping on your stomach a little bit. Or again, if you do irrigation and you shouldn't be going during the night and you have, just the flat covering on there, that might be okay. You can lay on your stomach for short periods of time. Say you're going to get a massage or something like that, and you're sort of some medical procedure or something, you need to lay on your, stomach. So you can take a towel and really roll that up and put it around the whole stoma area so that it gives some height to it, so you're not laying completely on your stoma. There is a stoma dome that you can get, that you can put as a covering on there, that can also help make there room to be for where the output can go out. So the stoma dome is a little like half covering that goes on there. So a little dome, and it has the opening on the side. So if your abdomen is here and you take the dome, you put that here, there's an opening on the side where then the output can still come out. You can take a couple pillows on either side again, so you can raise up the tummy area so your stoma still has room, or like the donut type pillows that you sit on, or maybe a neck pillow. So again, you'd have that room where you can lay comfortably. But as a practice for sleeping throughout the night and overnight, it's not suggested, just because, again, if you're sleeping on there, there's no room for the output to go. And then if it's just going to go out the sides of the bag whenever, you'd have a big mess, and you don't want that. I guess that was the other thing I thought of for, is whether the stoma area could smell or not with having a bag on and stuff. If you do smell something, sometimes it also could be a leak. So just make sure that if you are smelling something, that you check your bag area and make sure that it hasn't leaked anywhere on there. But that's usually the only reason you have smell just sitting there. What can you eat? Basically anything. When you first come out of surgery, you are supposed to have a low fiber diet, because again, your system now needs to learn a new system of the digestion, and like, oh, we're dealing with this now. Like we have an ileostomy, we only have a small intestine, we don't have the large intestine. The large intestine's job is to soak up more water and all that. The small intestine does more of the nutrients. But again, because the large intestine does the water, that's why with the ileostomy you have a little bit more watery output. And so again, the body has to learn that, oh, we don't have the large intestine now, we need to learn a different way of digesting, and it then learns to try to soak up a little bit more water. And so with that too, with having an ileostomy, you need to try to be more careful about drinking more water or electrolytes, more so, because you lose all that in your output. With the colostomy, it's not as bad with that. As far as other foods, basically with both ostomies, you need to just chew. Chew, 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 chew. Chew till you have mush in your mouth as much as possible before you start swallowing. Start that digestion process to help out the body as much as possible. Like I said in the beginning, you have a low fiber diet, and then you could start adding things in at like that 4-week mark. Even with the colostomy, I think even afterwards they were kind of like, you can eat right away, you can do whatever. Well, then I kind of did. I had some cheesy tortellini, and I had some like Olive Garden's fettuccine alfredo, and I ended up with a blockage. That's the kind of the big thing of, you have an ostomy, it's like you don't want a blockage. So sometimes raw fruits and vegetables can cause that. Again, once your body heals a little bit more, it's more easy to digest the food. And again, chewing. Chew, chew, chew. So cooked vegetables are a lot better than raw vegetables. But again, as time goes on, like I said, usually your body can get used to it. Sometimes if you have a food and you should try one food, try a little bit of it and see how your body reacts. Depending on, again, which ostomy you have will depend on your digestion time. With my ileostomy, my digestion time was about 4 to 6 hours. With the colostomy, I find my digestion time to be about 19 to 24 hours. So you'll know in about that amount of time if you're getting a stomach ache or anything, getting little twinges of that. And it's just a stomach ache. It's just, you get that like, oh, okay, have a little ache. And it's kind of like, it could be a start of a blockage. It could be you're having a little rough time digesting. So then hold off. Like, don't eat that same food 2 days in a row. Give it some time. If you do have trouble with the food, they usually say like wait a week or two and then try that food again. Because again, ultimately your body should be able to eat it. But sometimes there are times that your body just can't. There are, some people have said that they can't eat this, they can't eat that. Some people can't eat salads. Some people can't eat dairy. They can't eat, whatever. For me, that's what I found out, like with like cheesy pizza, depending on the brand, like the frozen stuff is pretty good. I can eat like 3 pieces. But if we go to like a restaurant or I have a bigger deep dish type of a pizza, I can only have like 2 pieces of pizza. If I have that third one, I'll get a stomachache. With salads, I love salads. I can make salads at home, but I made smaller salads and I was fine. And then one day I made a bigger bowl. So I'm like, oh, if I'm at a restaurant, I get a big bowl, and I got a stomachache. We ordered a poke bowl from one of the restaurants once, so that was leaving a lot of rice and a lot of vegetables. And I ate 3/4 of that, and I thought, well, I don't want to just put this little bit away. And so I'm like, I could eat, but I'm like, I don't know. And I ate it, and I got a stomachache. So again, camera paused, talking too long. So you can pretty much eat whatever foods. It just may be that you need to eat a smaller portion of them. And last but not least, can you like swim, hike, exercise, do activities, go to an amusement park, live real life? Yes, 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 yes. The ostomy is gives you a second life, gives you gives you life, gives you a second chance. You don't have to stop living. You can do whatever in the heck you feel like you want to do. You need to be a little cautious of also getting a hernia in the beginning. So as you start exercising, to start off slow, there are hernia belts that people can wear. You can wear stoma belts, stealth belts, that again, it tucks your bag into the belt that you wear around your stomach. Again, it helps hold the stomach tight, holds everything in so that everything doesn't move, that you're doing okay. There are the stomadomes, like I talked about. So with the stomadome on there, you can ride roller coasters. You can, even with driving and all that stuff, you may want a little extra protection over your stoma. And so the stomadome does that, or there's other products that are just like that too, the little plastic piece. So you can have anything over your belly, and that doesn't hinder anything. You can wear the other types of bags. There are other types of belts just to go around, again, that either help hold the bag, gives it extra protection. Even if you by chance had a leak, that will help contain everything like that so it doesn't get all over. It gives you a chance to maybe catch it early, get that taken care of. Swimming, you can wear extra barrier rings. So again, the bag itself should be fine, but it's suggested that after you're done in the water, especially like in a pool, even in the ocean, you have the extra salt and whatever, to change your bag afterwards. Otherwise, there are barrier extender rings that go around the flaps on the back. So where this this tape sticks out, there are rings that go around here. So it gives you some extra protection, extra, holding area that holds it on there. And so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, just go on and live life. So anyways, those were the questions that I've come up with, that I've seen people ask me on different ones of my videos. So I hope that was helpful. Like I said, maybe you learned a little something. If there are other things that you think of, you can leave them in the comment section below. I can try to answer those, or if you have other information, other things that I've missed, you can put that information down there too. Because I love this as our community. We help each other out and help each other out with suggestions or information and all that good stuff, because you guys are awesome. Anyways, thank you for joining me with this video. I hope things are going well. Like I said, if you have a stoma, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Life is good. So, in that respect, you guys keep it positive. Go make it a great day. Bye-bye.